Women in Focus, a podcast by British Naturism. Hi, and welcome to British Naturism's Women in Focus podcast, episode 4. I'm Helen Berryman, your host, and today I'll be talking to Siobhan Hazzan from Christian Naturist Fellowship. Siobhan is, like me, quite new into Naturism, I think for 3 years. But let's find out a little bit more about Siobhan's story and her thoughts. So let's welcome her now. Welcome to Siobhan. Hi, Siobhan.
Hello. Hi, Helen. Hi.
How are you?
I'm very well indeed. Thank you.
Good. So, Siobhan, tell me a little bit about yourself and what got you into Naturism.
Okay, well, you already know I'm Siobhan. In my early 50s, I found myself a widow. And then in my mid-50s, I met a man called Peter, who was a naturist. And so quite quickly after meeting him, I've just realized I said mid-50s. It was really late 50s. I think I'm younger than I am. Anyway, moving on. So I met Peter and quite quickly fell in love with him. He told me on our first date that he was a naturist. In fact, his gift to me on our first date was a BN magazine.
That's the British Naturism magazine, yes?
British Naturism magazine, yes. And so I knew he was very serious about it. I knew it was important to him. I would never have stopped him doing it, but I didn't think it was going to be for me. So once I knew I was in love with him, I thought I need to try this because I want him to have a partner he can share it with. I hadn't looked at myself naked in a mirror for 8 to 10 years. And so one Tuesday afternoon, after having a bath, I decided in for a penny, in for a pound. What I thought was going to happen was I thought I was going to go into my daughter's bedroom, look in her full-length mirror. She was the only one in the house who had one, and agree with what my thoughts had been and break up with Peter and leave him free to go and meet somebody else. When I looked in the mirror, I realized that instead of being 10-ton Tess from Texas, I was only 2-ton Tess from Twickenham. And I was happy with that. I could cope with that. My body wasn't as awful as I thought it was. Yes, there's lumps and bumps and wobbly bits and, but then I thought, well, that's the story of my life and it's not as terrible as I thought it was. So that was the first thing that was really good. Then Pete took me to Naturist Swim, which was all men, apart from one woman who was in her 80s, was sat in the sauna with her hat on, and I'm not sure she knew where she was, but she was having a lovely time. And another lady who left just because it was time for her to go home, not for any other reason. So I was left at this swim with all these men who were really nice and didn't look at me and didn't stare at me and spoke to me like a human being and gave me eye contact. And it was the safest I've ever felt in a room full of men. And that shocked me because I was naked.
Were you really nervous before going
Yes.
to your first public naturist event?
Well, bearing in mind that I didn't know where I was going till I got there.
Or he didn't tell you it was going to be a naturist swim?
No.
Whoa.
No, not until we were almost there anyway, because I made the stupid mistake of saying, you choose the third date. And he said, okay, but you can't ask. You just have to let me organize it and you have to go to whatever it is. I'd already looked at myself in the mirror naked by then and I'd already told him that. And he'd already seen me naked because he'd come round to do some plumbing. He'd taken his clothes off to do the plumbing. This is not a euphemism. I had a dodgy tap. And we spent the afternoon sitting on the sofa naked and chatting. So he'd already seen me naked and I'd already seen him naked. But I was nervous, yeah.
So once you got there, everyone was just really nice, like you say.
It was really nice, like more willing to talk to you, if you understand what I mean. I've been to many swim pools and nobody speaks to you. And hear everybody saying, hi, how are you? It's good to see you.
Was that at a public pool or was it at a club?
It was called Noah's Ark Swim.
Oh, okay.
As far as I remember, it was somewhere in the Wimbledon, New Malden area. And yeah, it was a public pool that lent it out on a Sunday afternoon between 4 and 6 or something to naturists who wanted to swim.
So was your first impression then of Naturism, yes, it was friendly, but where are all the women?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So after that, because you now completely embrace Naturism as part of your day-to-day life, what happened after that first swim? Did you just start gently visiting other places or what did that look like?
Well, Peter was a member of the Naturist Foundation. So the
Heard
very
of that
next...
place.
You have you?
Yeah, I've been
Amazing.
there.
Yeah, have you? Amazing.
For those of you that don't know, Siobhan and I do know each other because we both work
We
at the
do.
Naturist Foundation.
We do. Yes.
So after the swim, you said Pete was a member of the Naturist Foundation, so obviously
Yes.
it took you there.
It was on because during the winter when the club is closed, you can still use the sauna. So we came down to one of the sauna evenings, and some of his friends were there, and I met them, and again were absolutely lovely. But they were couples, so I did meet a few women that day, and they were absolutely lovely, and invited us to go for dinner with them at a restaurant up the road afterwards. And I found out they were just as nice with clothes on as they were with clothes off. So nothing was different. Nothing, the world didn't stop turning because I'd sat naked in a sauna with some other people.
Because there were women there, did you feel self-conscious that there were women there this time?
Initially, yes.
Yeah.
Initially, yes, because for this only reason, when I first walked into the sauna, my first thought was, oh, these women are all slimmer than me.
It's really hard not to do that, isn't it?
It's really hard not to do it. But honestly, Helen, within less than 2 minutes, that was all forgotten about because they were just so lovely. Nobody was saying anything about anybody. We were just chatting about life stuff, and they were interested to meet me. And, I was, I think, the third or fourth girlfriend Peter had brought to the Naturist Foundation. So, yeah, and very quickly, we then went to a party after that. At somebody's from the Naturist Foundation's home. They have a party in February every year just to bring everybody together out of season. And that one I was really nervous about. Because now I was going into I knew there was going to be maybe about 50 people there. I was going into a much bigger environment and I was really nervous. And I kept saying to Pete, what should I wear?
That's ironic.
Yeah. What should I wear to get... Well, he said, it's a naturist party. I said, yeah, but I might not feel comfortable taking my clothes off when I get there because there's so many people. Also, I have to have that initial walk in the door. So it doesn't matter what you wear. You'll feel really comfortable. They're all lovely. You'll take your clothes off really quickly, so it doesn't matter. Just something comfortable that's easy to get on and off. So I found this really frumpy orange and brown and white skirt in the cupboard and this orange and white and brown jumper. Because it was cold, it was February, over the top. And I put it on and I said, are you sure that, He said, yeah, nobody's going to be bothered. Well, the host of the party opened the front door and there she was in this lovely sparkly number. So I said a quick hello, ran into the bedroom, whipped the frumpy clothes off and thought I'd rather be naked. I'd much rather be naked. Great time was had and everyone was lovely and nobody cared. And when I walked into that room, there were all shapes and sizes. There were women smaller than me, women bigger than me. Some were small boobs, some were big boobs, some were tall, some were short. Some were big bums, some were little bums.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Literally every spectrum of body size, shape you could think of.
You soon realise that you forget in that environment. You forget that nobody's got any clothes on. Once you do that initial, oh, I'm here with a load of naked people, that goes almost instantly.
Very, very quickly.
So from there, how did you come to be as involved as you are in Naturism?
Well, because Naturism has had such a positive effect on me personally, not just my body image and learning to love my body, but my mental health as well. I want that for other women. I know what women go through. I know what we put ourselves through. I know what we say to ourselves. Especially, I'm now past the menopause, especially as we go through that part of our life.
You lucky thing.
Yeah, there is an end to it, Helen. There is, I promise.
Excellent.
But, when you start to go through that bit, things get a bit more saggy, go a bit more south. You feel awful. You feel like you did when you were a teenager, only without so much to look forward to. And you just feel awful. And so now I'm passionate to let women know that there is a lifestyle that really helps with that. There is a lifestyle that makes you feel better about yourself, gives you better mental health, gets you out in the sun, gets you out in the fresh air, and is good for you, And one of the things that was really sad when I went to that first swim was every man that spoke to me said, I wish my wife would come, but she doesn't. She thinks I'm terrible. Or my wife won't let me tell the children. My wife would never do this because she just hates her own body. And I'd love to break that down for women. I really would like to break down those ideas that it's something that men do that's a bit weird.
Yeah. I think because we're both fairly new into naturism, we can still remember what it was like looking in.
Yes.
And myself, I did think it was weird when my husband told me that he liked to live a clothing optional lifestyle. I was like, why? I don't understand. And there's no amount of him telling me or anybody else telling me what it was going to be like. It was only that I had to do it, I had to go there myself. And that is when you realize for yourself that, oh God, I was so wrong.
Yeah.
It's nothing like I thought it was going to be. Nobody's objectifying me. No one's taking the mickey. No one could give a monkey's what if I've got anything on or not. You become just incidental or that's the word I'm looking for. But
I mean, that's one of the things that I think is most people don't understand about naturism. Because, see, I'm a bit like you, Helen. I don't like being told what to do. And if Peter had said, I need you to try this, I want you to do it, I wouldn't have done it.
Right, same.
Not at that early stage of our relationship. I would have thought, now, bossy, are you? And I wouldn't have done it, but he didn't. So, like you, I found it out for myself because I needed to find it out for myself. But one of the things, my first summer being a member of the Naturist Foundation, I remember going home from having dinner in somebody's awning one evening when it was getting late on in the season and the evenings were chillier. Somebody said to me, talking to somebody on the phone, I can't remember, and they said, oh, was everybody, it's pretty cold, was everybody naked? And I thought, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I couldn't answer the question, honestly, because I couldn't remember if some people had dressing gowns, some people were dressed, some people were, I couldn't, because it was incidental, like you say. And then that's when I was like, yeah, I think I actually am a naturist now. So I honestly couldn't answer the question.
You got married at the Naturist Foundation, I believe.
We did.
Before I met you, so I missed out on that one.
Yeah, we'll do it again, don't worry. Everybody knows how much we love a wedding. We had to have 3 because it was during COVID.
Okay, tell us about that then.
Well, we had to have our legal one, which you could only at that point have your 2 witnesses, which we did. Then we had a closed one for our friends and family because, again, it was COVID and you could only have 30, including the bride and groom at that point. And we knew they wouldn't come to the Naturist Foundation.
Right.
Then we had our big old do at the Naturist Foundation, and that was just fantastic. So that was what we both really wanted. We both really wanted a naked wedding blessing, and that's what we had.
That's what we had. I heard it was lovely.
It was really lovely. And the wonderful thing about the people you meet in Naturism is you make friends, good friendships very quickly with people. And everybody chipped in to do things without even being asked. Like one person we saw them running past our caravan with a big load of lights.
Right.
And then we got down there and the whole place was festooned with fairy lights. Somebody else put a wedding car together just to drive me around the site. And I just, so I have a wedding car with ribbons on and things. Everybody had got together and practiced a dance routine to do at the reception, which was to the Jerusalem. It was just, this is what happens in nature's environments. People just love to make things nice for other people.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful community there.
Yeah.
When we talk about naturism, some people use the term nudism. In the written series, I asked, is there a difference between naturism and nudism? And what are your thoughts on that?
For me, I don't think there is a difference, though I think some people think of nudism a bit like voyeurism.
Okay.
But I don't, and I don't think I think they're the same thing. Nudism and naturism, I think. Neither of them being voyeuristic.
Like I said before, I think the 2 terms are interchangeable, and in some parts of the world, they use the term nudism, but it means exactly the same.
Yeah.
But I think in the UK, if you say nudism, they might look at you a bit just maybe.
Yeah. I think naturism is a better term.
I do, actually. In terms of being accepted by the wider public? Or?
In terms of being accepted by the wider public, in terms of it sounding not seedy, and in terms of it opening up a conversation where people can say, well, what's that then?
Yeah.
whereas I think nudism might go, people go, oh, they like to be looked at naked. I'm not going to talk about that.
When you tell your family, when you did tell your family about being an naturist and your textile friends, what was their reaction on the whole? Or was it different for different people?
I have 3 older children. And the first one I told was the oldest. And she said, Mum, whatever you do, your life is fine. I just don't want to be invited to naked Sunday dinner. Okay. She said, because the idea of hot gravy is too much. And my son said, if it makes you happy, it makes me happy. And my younger one as well, she was like, Mum, you're a grown-up, you can make your own decisions. So they've been very, very supportive, to be honest. They've all been here now to the Naturist Foundation and will come again and again. So yeah, they've been really, really supportive.
Have they seen a difference in how you are?
Yes, 100%. They can see that I'm much more relaxed in myself. They can see that I'm happier, less moany. Yeah, I mean, they've all in various different ways, various different times commented that they can see that naturism has a positive benefit to my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. My friends, all of my textile friends were all like, yeah, that's great, but none of them have come to visit me here.
Right.
And none of them are willing to come and visit me here. So it's a bit more like, that's okay for you. And I'm glad it makes you happy, but I don't want to be involved or around. Or
do they ask you questions about it, though?
They have done. Yeah, they have done. That. You caused quite a lot of questions.
Me?
Helen Berryman. Yeah, you did. When you did your Christmas edition, the only thing dressed at Christmas was the turkey.
Yeah.
Yes. That opened up a fine load of questions on New Year's Eve for me when they said, have you seen the woman in the magazine? And I said, well, actually, she's a friend of mine. Then there was lots of questions about naturism, but they were good questions. They were sensible questions. They were like, things like, what actually one of the questions was like, what about when you sit down and stuff or bend over and stuff like that? It was all those kind of questions, which might sound silly, but they're not. They're things that worry people. And do you have to make sure that you're really clean? Well, I make sure I'm that anyway. Yeah. But, I would hope I do that anyway, clothed or not. But, they were all questions that they would worry about.
Yeah, which is valid. We worry about these things as well.
Yeah, about body hair and what you do about body hair and stuff like that. And I told them I shave my chest daily. No, but they were valid questions, and I appreciated them having the open conversation with me. Some of my friends just asked silly questions because Pete's a black man. So some of my friends are just more interested to know about that.
In terms of his anatomy, do you mean?
In terms of his anatomy. And I'm like, well, that's not what it's about. So, I just kind of dodge those questions.
People are funny, aren't they?
Aren't they?
So within naturism, what sort of challenges do you think women in naturism face, apart from the ones we bestow upon ourselves, like I'm too fat or I'm too old or too wrinkly? What other challenges do you think women face?
I think one of the challenges that women face is their perception of what they think men think. And I'm sure there are men who think what they think, but they're in the minority. I don't know, other than what we've talked about. Yeah, the main challenges with women are other women as well.
And often I think we're our own worst enemies.
Yeah, we are.
Very hard on ourselves, and we absolutely have no need to do so.
No, 100% have no need to do so. But there's quite a lot of pressure on women in the textile world.
Yes. Siobhan and we had a conversation about how stressed we get when we have to go somewhere dressed.
Yes. What will I wear? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Tell us about the situation when you're going to Pete's family, and you asked where.
Oh gosh, New Year's Day. I said, I've not been to New Year's Day at your sister's before. What should I wear? Oh, it doesn't matter what you wear. No, it probably does. No, it doesn't matter what you wear. So will your family be in their African, brightly coloured, beautiful clothes that they wear? No, I shouldn't think so. No, it won't matter what you wear. I was like, okay. So I decided in the end that I wouldn't go in jeans. I would go in a pair of smartish black trousers and a smartish top, because that was somewhere in the middle of being dressed up and not being dressed up. And I walked in the front door and all the women my age and younger and older, every single one of them was dressed in their finery, looking absolutely stunning. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I think
All righty then.
I think we've learned from this conversation already that we don't listen to Peter regarding clothes.
Correct. That is what we have learned.
And also, you might want to put something colourful in your bag just in case.
Yes. Well, I've been on the internet and I've seen some lovely, reasonably priced caftans that will fold up nicely. So I'm going to order some of them. So I've got them in my handbag.
Now, we've often said in conversations that certainly the wider public sexualise nudity.
Yes.
Apart from what we're already doing, how can we go about desexualising nudity? They don't come hand in glove. Just because you're nude doesn't mean you're...
No, definitely not. In fact, the opposite is true. You see, my difficulty with this question, Helen, is that I believe it's clothes that cause the problems sexually, right?
Yep.
I think it's people's idea of what naturism might be because of how people behave when they're clothed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, if a man is hoping for some nice, fun time with his wife, or a wife is hoping to titillate her husband, she'll go and buy lingerie.
Right.
Or she'll go and buy an outfit, or he'll go and buy a bra that lifts you up and points you in the right direction. Sheepdog bra, my mum used to call them, or something that pull in your stomach and then a tight fitting dress. And I think that's what causes the problem with seeing the body as something sexual.
So your clothing is there as an enticement or an allurement into...
Yeah, and it ties off what might be underneath. And when you get to underneath, it's all the same.
Just a little bit more southbound than...
Just a little bit more southbound when you get over a certain age, but, it's still relatively in the same place as it was. But, there's... Yeah, the only way we will completely desexualize the naked body is if we desexualize clothing.
Interesting.
That is what I think.
That's not going to happen because there's multi-million-pound industries that thrive on women putting themselves down and striving to look better, whether that's via clothes,
absolutely,
whether that's makeup, aesthetics,
absolutely,
all of that. The media are telling us we're all old and saggy and you could have better hair or you could have better skin and buy this product or wear this garment. And no wonder women are feeling so...
Exactly. And inject this into your face so you don't have any wrinkles and all that sort of...
in social media all the time with these young women, they're not real. They are hiding behind filters.
Yeah.
The other youngsters looking at these influencers don't realise that it's all filtered or...
Exactly.
It's messy. It's messy for the mind.
I totally agree. And it's why, especially young people today, it's why mental health issues are on the rise amongst young people today. And I think it's men as well, in a bigger way than did. I mean, there's always been that thing of, you need to be macho, which can't be easy for men either. But I think where women are concerned, we just need to be promoting naturism as being the non-sexual thing that it is, as much as we can, to try and encourage women to give it a go. Because for me, I can't see a better way of accepting your own body than sit in a room full of people who are like, so what did you do last week? And everybody's naked and nobody's looking. I think there's nothing more free.
Yeah, we both know not only the physical benefits of naturism, but the wellness side of it.
100%.
Yeah, and it's trying to share that with people. It's not easy.
No, it's not. And the thing is, naturism is a brilliant way to live. And it's a great thing for women because it's great for your mental health and it's great for your body issues. But it doesn't mean you won't have a day where you feel, ugh.
Oh, of course, 100%.
You still have those days where you feel, ugh. And what you normally get with other naturist women is that close bonded friendship. And they'll go, come on, you're gorgeous. Come on. You're having a bad day today, tomorrow's a better day. And usually that's exactly what happens. By tomorrow you feel fine, you've had a chat with your friends or you've whatever, and you feel good again.
I think that's nice in the naturist environment, is that there are genuine friendships. The women are nicer, you
They're
know.
much nicer.
Exactly, because everything's unhidden. I don't
Yeah.
mean physically, like by taking your clothes off, you're sort of bearing your soul.
100%.
And people are just nice. There's like this unwritten rule in naturism of trust
Yeah.
and niceness. And I've never heard anyone backstab anyone or talk about it.
Never.
It's really odd. It's just nice.
Yeah, I said this to somebody in the textile world a long time ago, exactly what you've just said. And they said, oh, don't be so naive. Now, that was when I first started in Naturism. Here I am, 3 years later, and I've still never heard anybody backstab anybody or bitch about anybody or say, look at her. I've been in textile situations where someone's going, what does she think she's wearing?
Yeah.
I've never heard that in a naturist, and I've never heard as you wouldn't, but you would never hear a naturist woman say about another naturist woman, what's she doing?
Yeah,
You
look
would
at the
never
state of
hear
her
it.
hair.
Yeah, you would never hear it. It never happens. Women are much nicer to each other.
That's true. Recently, it keeps coming up, men saying things like there's not enough women in naturism. Now, I disagree with that. I think
Yes.
there are plenty of women in naturism. Just because they're not as public as I am or you are doesn't mean they're not.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I agree that there are plenty of women in naturism. I would have to say that a lot of them are in couples, or married, or girlfriends. But there are plenty of women in naturism. But we're just, like you say, we're not as vocal about it as perhaps we should be. I don't know. I just think men find it easier to say to their friends that they like a naked lifestyle than women do.
Do you think it has anything to do with some of the activities that, for example, the naked walks, and there's not enough women on them? Do you think that's because they just don't like doing that, or?
I do think that's the reason, because I would like to, if I had time, to sit down and actually research whether there are more textiles who go walking. In ratio. I would love to work that out. I bet you would find they do. I think walking, hiking is not a thing most women do.
Right, yeah. So,
but you take the 5K naked run that happens in May and September at the Naturist Foundation. You get plenty of women at that.
You do.
There are plenty of women runners at the 5K.
Same with the skinny dip. I think both of those events are good ways of introducing textile people to the naturist environment.
Yes.
And once they're there for the bucket list reason of either doing a run or doing the skinny dip, they see for themselves what naturism is like. And you and I both know that many people have made return visits.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. You know, and even like some of the festivals and things that go on, they're brilliant. And you see plenty of women at those things. I never go to any of the things we've mentioned or any of the festivals and think, where are all the women?
Yeah, so maybe it's just like a poor portrayal of maybe the events that we see, like the hiking.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on them. I don't mind doing them at all, actually.
I don't know, yeah.
But I would like it, that women would feel okay to go and take part in these things.
Yes.
So maybe I don't know, a ladies only walk. But I love the idea that the organised walks that do take place are for a good cause and raising money.
Yeah, exactly. Because like you said about bucket lists a moment ago, it's a lovely way. People go, oh yeah, I might take my clothes off for the British Heart Foundation.
Yeah.
But my favourite story was at one of the 5K runs a couple of years ago. And this girl came and it was a bucket list thing for her. And she was doing it. I think somebody had sponsored her or some people had sponsored her to do it. But she got here and she then lost her bottle.
Oh.
And she said, would it be all right if I kept a sports bra and some shorts on? I said, you can run in a complete hazmat suit if you want to, darling. It's clothing optional. You know, if you want to keep something on, you keep it on. And, don't feel embarrassed by that. It was a boiling hot day. She did the run in her shorts and sports bra. Then said, gosh, everybody's so lovely. Is it all right if I hang around for a while? I said, yeah, the music will be playing all day. Stay, go whenever you feel like it. Is it all right if I keep my stuff on? Yeah, absolutely. Well, I went off to do whatever I was going to do, probably get a drink from the bar, truth be told, I don't know. Came back half an hour later and she sat there naked.
Yes. How did she feel about it? Did you talk to her about it?
I said to her, oh, hello. I said, it seems like your running gear fell off. She said, yeah, she said, I just sat here and thought to myself, why am I being so stupid? And I said, and how did you feel when you took it off? And she said, I didn't feel anything and nobody noticed and nobody said anything. So she said it was completely uneventful.
Yeah.
And she's been back to do the run since, and she's been back other times as well, which is really good. So, yeah.
People say, isn't it? I think my favourite word, it was unremarkable.
Unremarkable. Yeah, yeah.
Almost like disappointing. Why did no one clap? Why did no one notice?
There was a woman that was here last summer. Was it last summer or the summer before at the wellness event? And she said exactly that. After being here for a little while in a lovely summer dress, she went into the ladies and took it off, walked out and said, where's the fanfare? Nothing. Somebody just walked past her and said hi. And she was like, I was really quite upset. I thought this could be this, of taking my clothes off.
So how do you see the future of naturism? You feel it's growing? You feel it's easier to talk about it these days?
I think it's much easier to talk about, certainly in the last year or so, a couple of years. I think a lot of that's down to you, Helen, and I'm not flattering you. I really mean that. I think because you're so good at putting yourself out there, which I think is really brilliant. And the way you put yourself across, you don't leave yourself open for people in the media to titter. I know some of them try to, but I think the way you put yourself across as, I guess now, the face of women in naturism.
One of them.
One of the faces of naturism, I think, is really brilliant. Just like that conversation I told you that I had on New Year's Eve because they'd seen you in a magazine. And I think, you see, for me, it's hard to answer that question because I tell everybody I'm not ashamed. And as a Christian naturist and as an ordained Christian naturist pastor, I'm not ashamed of my naturist lifestyle. So I don't hide it from people. I tell people, and I don't allow the judgment of others. So for me, it's very easy to talk about. But I do think there's a lot more openness. And I think because of people like yourself, and others that speak up and put themselves out there, I think it is becoming a lot easier to talk about. And I think we're slowly breaking down the taboos.
Yeah, I think as well, the media do want to talk about it. And maybe in the past, there has been the puns or the silly headlines, and you're always going to get that a little bit. Being given a platform that is taken seriously is why we do what we do. I mean, some might say that we're exhibitionists because we're in the media. Now, you know me.
Yeah, definitely not an exhibitionist. It's not a word I would use for you. I have a lot of words I would use for you, but that's not one of them.
Cheers. No, but I think the media are getting a bit more interested in it themselves from the right perspective, in as much as it's wellness. Yeah. Naturism is about respect for the environment that you're in and for other people, the people around.
100%, yeah.
Any final thoughts, Siobhan, on all things naturism, or any advice for any women out there who are thinking, I still couldn't do it, I don't have the body?
My advice would be, don't believe what they tell you in the media about bodies. Be brave. Take your clothes off at home first. Look at yourself in the mirror kindly. Don't look at yourself thinking, ugh. Look at yourself and be kind. Look and say, oh, yeah, I'm not as bad as I think I am. This bit of me is nice. That bit of me is nice. And just do it. Life's better naked.
It is.
Life is much better naked. And you're talking to somebody who never thought you would say that in a million years.
Same.
And I still think sometimes, is this really the life I now live? And I'm like, I hate clothes now. I hate when I have to get dressed. Because I live in the Naturist Foundation, I let the fridge go to completely bare before I'll be bothered to put clothes on and go to the flipping shops. My final thought, get naked.
Perfect. I couldn't have said it better myself. If people want to find out more about you, Siobhan, and the work that you do with the Christian Naturist Fellowship, where can they find you?
Well, they can find me at www.cnfellowship.org, or they can email me. What's my email address?
Don't worry too much. I'll put it on the show notes so people will be able to find you.
Yeah. Do you know what? I just want people to experience what I experience. And if I can help in any way, contact me whatever way you can.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you very much, Siobhan.
Thank you for having me, Helen.
And I will see you soon. Take care.
I hope so. Bye.
Thanks ever so much to Siobhan. What a great conversation, and fun as I knew it would be. She makes a really interesting point, though, about how clothes are sexualizing the body. Hadn't really considered that before, but it makes sense in as much as all the multi-million-pound companies marketing on our weaknesses and what we consider imperfections. And the clothing, it is used to entice people and make you look smaller or make you feel better about yourself. But invariably it doesn't. And the clothing, in my case, actually highlights some areas that I don't want to be highlighted. So yeah, it's a very good point and worth thinking about. The Christian Naturist Fellowship aims to provide support and encouragement for Christian Naturists. It's a group of Christians from all over the UK and around the world, from many different denominations, just united by their faith and their decision not to wear clothes. It just shows that Naturism is inclusive and everyone is welcome. To find out more about Siobhan, please see the links in the show notes. And to find out more about the Christian Naturist Fellowship, you can go onto their website, which is cnfellowship.org. Also, there'll be details on the show notes. We'd love to hear from you at Women in Focus. So if you'd like to get in touch, you can email us at womeninfocus@bn.org.uk. Or for more information, you can log on to bn.org.uk/womeninfocus. Thank you so much for listening. I hope to have you here again next month as we celebrate Women in Focus.